Ryan's hand tightened around the steering wheel as the moving truck rolled down Willow Lane. The late October sun bled gold across the quiet American suburb, painting every trimmed lawn and mailbox in a glow that felt too perfect. Emily leaned her head out of the window, her hair catching the breeze, smiling as if this was the start of everything they'd dreamed of. A new beginning, a new life, their first home. They had driven 16 hours straight from Chicago, chasing a cheaper life in the outskirts of Pennsylvania. The house they bought was old, 100 years at least, but the price was too good to pass up. It's got character, the realtor had said. You'll love it. It's a steal. And it was. A 2-story colonial, white shutters, ivy climbing the porch columns, a massive oak tree stretching over the front yard like a watchful guardian. The kind of house that belonged in postcards, but as Ryan parked the truck, something about it didn't feel right. The windows were too dark, too still, like eyes that had been waiting inside. The air was cold. Not cold. Emily rubbed her arms and laughed it off. Guess the heat's been off too long, she said, her voice echoing across the hollow rooms. The echo bothered Ryan. It felt too sharp, too alive. They spent the first hour unloading boxes. Every sound, the thud of a box, the creak of a stair, seemed to ripple through the house. In the kitchen, Emily found an old rotary phone hanging on the wall. Vintage, she said, but the line was dead. She could still hear faint static, though, like whispering that never fully stopped out by sunset. The house had grown darker faster than it should have. The sun dipped below the trees, and every shadow stretched too long. Ryan flipped light switches. Most worked, some flickered. Old wiring, he muttered. Emily didn't answer. She was staring at the window above the sink. Did you see that? She whispered. See what? She pointed outside. The oak tree swayed, but there was no wind. I thought I saw someone by the tree, she said, just standing there. Ryan stepped closer to the window. Nothing. Just the long stretch of their empty yard. You're tired, he said softly. Let's eat something, unpack tomorrow. But that night, neither of them slept out the house made sounds not the normal kind. It breathed. They could hear slow, dragging movements upstairs when both were lying in bed. Floorboards creaked like weight shifting from one step to another. The air vents hissed faintly, like someone whispering behind the walls. At 2:17 a.m., Ryan sat up. Emily was already awake. Her eyes were wide, fixed on the corner near the closet door. Ryan, she said, barely moving her lips, someone's in the room. He turned, heart pounding. The closet door was half open. Blackness filled the gap like ink bleeding through paper. He stared until his vision blurred, but saw nothing move. Still, the air felt occupied. He stood up and stepped toward the door. Every step seemed to stretch longer than it should. When he reached out and pulled it open, only boxes, hangers, and coats stared back. No one, but the air in the closet was freezing. The next morning, Emily found small, dusty footprints on the hallway floor. Too small to be Ryan's, barefoot, child-sized. They led toward the stairs and stopped at the attic door. Ryan laughed nervously. Probably from the movers. They wore boots, she said. They both stared at the attic door. It was bolted shut, rusty, unused for years. That afternoon, they tried to distract themselves, setting up furniture, hanging curtains, making coffee. Emily played soft music on her phone to drown out the silence. It didn't help. The sound in the house had weight. It pressed against their EARD armrest at 4:06 p.m. The doorbell rang. Ryan opened it to find no one there. Only a small white envelope sitting on the porch step. He picked it up. Inside, a single photograph. The house. Their house, but not as it looked now, older, darker. with boarded windows and a sign on the lawn that read, "Condemned," on the back. Written in smudged ink, "Don't stay after dark." When he showed Emily, her face drained of color. "It's a prank," she said quickly, but her voice trembled. "Has to be." That night, the lights flickered harder. The house groaned. It wasn't wind. It was something heavier, like footsteps dragging across the roof. Ryan went to check the fuse box. Emily followed with a flashlight. When they reached the basement, the smell hit first, damp, old, metallic. The flashlight beam shook in Emily's hand. They both froze when they saw the wall. There were names scratched into the concrete. Hundreds of them. Carved deep dot and at the bottom, Ryan and Emily Harper. Ryan's throat tightened. Who the hell would do this? He whispered dot, then the basement light above them flickered once, twice, and went out. Emily's scream echoed, bouncing off concrete. The flashlight hit the floor. Ryan grabbed it, flipped it up, and for a split second, he saw someone standing behind Emily tall, still, its face blurred. Like a smear of smoke, the light cut out again. Emily's breathing stopped. When Ryan flipped the flashlight back on, she was gone, just gone. He ran through the house, shouting her name. Upstairs, doors slammed on their own. The windows shook. The phone on the kitchen wall began to ring. The deadline. He hesitated, then picked it up. Static. Then a voice, whispering, slow and broken. "She's with us now." The line went dead. Ryan dropped the phone, chest heaving. He turned toward the hallway and froze. Emily was standing there. Her eyes were open, but empty. Her lips moved, but no sound came out, and behind her, the shadow that had no shape began to move. Ryan couldn't move. The air between them was thick, electric, as if the house itself had stopped breathing. Emily stood in the hallway, bathed in the faint yellow flicker of the overhead light. Her body was still, but her shadow wasn't. It stretched, warped, twisting along the wall like something alive. "Emily?" His voice cracked out. She blinked, slow, like it hurt to do it. Her head tilted to one side, too far, like a doll's joint coming loose. Then she smiled, not with her lips, but with the wrong parts of her face. "You shouldn't have stayed," she whispered. Ryan stumbled backward. The light flickered once more and went out completely, throwing the hallway into darkness. Only the faint moonlight leaking through the curtains gave him shape, her silhouette, standing still. He turned and ran down the stairs, creaked under his feet like bones snapping. The house seemed to shift around him, the walls narrowing, the air humming with low vibration. Every shadow on the walls looked like a hand reaching out. When he burst into the living room, the front door that had been open minutes ago was now closed, locked tight. He yanked the handle, threw his weight against it, nothing. The lock was old, heavy. His reflection shimmered faintly in the glass pane, but something behind it moved. He froze, breathing hard, his palms still on the knob. Someone was standing outside. For a moment, he thought maybe it was a neighbor, someone who could help. He pressed his face to the window, squinting through the glass, and saw himself, not his reflection, himself, standing outside, looking in. The version of him outside didn't move, didn't breathe, just stared. The same clothes, same tired eyes, except his mouth was wide open in a silent scream. Ryan stumbled away from the window, heart hammering. The room pulsed like it was alive. The air vibrated, and somewhere deep within the walls, something whispered, low, wet syllables that didn't belong to any language. He spun around, shouting Emily's name again. "Emily, please. Where are you?" No answer. Only the creak of the floor above him. He grabbed the flashlight, its beam trembling across furniture. Every familiar object now looked wrong. Too sharp, too dark, too placed. like the house had rearranged itself while he wasn't looking. He climbed the stairs, slow, each step groaning like a warning. The hallway stretched longer than it should. Doors lined both sides, more than there had been before. Each one slightly open, darkness spilling from the cracks like oil dot from the end of the hall, came the sound of a child humming. A soft, tuneless melody, looping again and again. Ryan's flashlight flickered, cutting through the gloom. "Emily?" he whispered, though he already knew it wasn't her. The humming stopped, then whispering. Dozens of voices overlapping, whispering his name. "Ryan, Ryan." He turned toward one of the doors and slowly pushed it open. Inside was a bedroom that wasn't theirs. The wallpaper was torn and moldy, the furniture old, covered in dust. Toys were scattered on the floor, wooden blocks, a cracked doll, a music box with its lid half open. The flashlight caught movement. The doll's head turned toward him. He stepped back, nearly tripping over something soft. When he looked down, his stomach twisted. It was a stuffed animal, but wet. The fabric clung to his shoe like skin. The air grew heavier, pressing on his lungs. Somewhere in the walls, something scraped Dot. He turned, ready to run, when the music box clicked open on its own. The soft metallic lullaby played slow and off-key, and in the reflection of its small, cracked mirror, he saw Emily again, standing right behind him. He spun around. Nothing. Just the empty doorway and the hallway beyond. Ryan's breathing was sharp and uneven. He pressed his hand to his chest, trying to steady himself, but the house felt alive around him now, like it could sense his heartbeat. The whispering returned, louder this time. The walls pulsed faintly with movement. Paint cracked. Plaster bulged. And from the floorboards, something began to seep. Black, thick, slow. He staggered backward, dropping the flashlight. It rolled across the floor, its beam spinning wildly until it landed on something carved into the far wall. Dot numbers, dot dates, dot every inch of the wall was covered in them, and next to each date, a pair of names. Some faded, some freshly etched dot at the very bottom, written deeper than the rest. October 31st, Ryan and Emily Harper. His hands trembled. He looked at the date on his phone. October 31st. Halloween night. The whispering turned into low laughter. Children's laughter. The kind that doesn't sound right. Ryan ran. Down the stairs, through the hall, into the kitchen, searching for an exit, a window, anything. The door to the basement was wide open now. The light below flickered weakly, like it was inviting him down. He hesitated, then heard Emily's voice, soft, pleading. "Ryan, help me." He froze. "Emily?" The voice came again. "Please, I'm down here." He knew it was wrong. Every instinct screamed not to go. But love makes people do stupid things, even inside nightmares. He grabbed the flashlight and stepped down. The air grew colder with each step. The smell hit him again. Wet earth, rust, and something else. Something rotting. When he reached the bottom, the concrete floor looked darker, damp. His beam swept across the room and landed on Emily. She was standing in the corner, back turned. Her hands were pressed against the wall. His voice cracked. "We have to go." She didn't move. He stepped closer. The flashlight trembled. Her hands weren't pressed on the wall, they were in it. The concrete rippled around her wrists like liquid. He reached out, shaking. Emily, her head turned halfway, too slowly, too wrong. "You came back," she said. Then the wall behind her bulged. Something inside it, pressing outward. Ryan stumbled back. The concrete split open, and from within came the sound of gasping, hundreds of voices breathing all at once. The wall burst. A black mist poured out, thick as smoke, twisting and writhing into shapes that almost looked human. Faces flickered inside it, screaming, laughing, whispering. Ryan turned to run, but something caught his ankle. Cold, wet fingers. He looked down, hands were reaching from the floor. Gray, boneless, dragging him back. He kicked, screamed, tore free, but one phrase echoed through his head in 100 voices. "You live here now." He ran up the stairs, his flashlight cutting wild lines across the walls. The house roared around him, every door slamming, every light flickering. The ceiling cracked. The sound was deafening. He burst into the hallway, but it wasn't the same hallway. The pictures on the walls were different. The air smelled of rot Dot and hanging from one of the picture frames was a photo Dot him and Emily, smiling except behind them. Through the window, something watched, and its eyes were still there, even in the photo. Ryan backed away from the photo, his pulse hammering in his ears. His own smiling face stared back at him, framed in dust and rot, but it wasn't the same smile. The man in the picture looked hollow, like something had already taken the life out of him. Emily's reflection beside him shimmered faintly, as if she were moving inside the image. He turned and bolted down the hall. The floor shifted beneath his feet, warping like wet wood. Every door he passed whispered, soft words that crawled under his skin. Some whispered his name, others were trying to bargain, "Stay. It's better here. You'll see her again." He reached the staircase, or what used to be the staircase. It was gone. In its place stood a narrow hallway that seemed to stretch forever, lined with windows that looked out into nothing but blackness. The walls pulsed, breathing faintly, and the glass panes rippled like water. Ryan pressed his hand to one window, hoping to break through, but the glass was warm, and behind it a faint heartbeat. He jerked back. "What are you?" he shouted, his voice echoing through the endless corridor. The laughter came again, faint, childlike, multiplied 100 times. It filled every corner of the house. And from the dark at the end of the hall, something began to move, a shape, crawling along the ceiling. Its limbs too long, its movements jittered like an old film reel. The flashlight flickered, and for a split second, Ryan saw its face. It wasn't one face, it was many. Faces pressed together, shifting, gasping, merging and unmerging like wax melting under heat. He turned and ran back the way he came, but the hallway had changed again. The wallpaper peeled, revealing wooden boards beneath, each plank carved with hundreds of scratches, like someone had tried to claw their way out. The voices grew louder. "Stay with her. Stay forever." He crashed through a door and stumbled into the living room, or what was left of it. The furniture was gone. The walls were cracked open like ribs. And through them, he could see the foundation. Writhing in the center of the room stood Emily. Her hair hung over her face, wet, motionless. Her skin glowed faintly, as though the light came from inside her. "Emily," he whispered, "please, we have to leave." She lifted her head slowly. Her eyes were hollow, black, like holes torn through reality. "We can't leave," she said. Her voice wasn't hers. It was layered, echoing, filled with other voices underneath. "We already did." Ryan shook his head. No, we're alive. "We just moved in yesterday." She smiled, a dead, broken curve. Yesterday was 50 years ago. The air in the room shifted. Cold swept over him like a wave. The oak tree outside groaned, branches scraping the windows. Shadows twisted across the walls, forming figures, dozens of them, faint outlines of people. Ryan stepped back, shaking. "This isn't real," he whispered. Emily took a step toward him. Her shadow didn't follow. It stayed behind, watching. "It's real," she said. "You heard them. The house keeps what it takes." Her body flickered, gone for a second, then back again. "We were never supposed to buy this place. We weren't the first. We won't be the last." Ryan turned toward the front door. It was open now, the night wind howling through. He ran, every breath tearing through his chest. But when he stepped outside, the air changed, the street was gone, the houses were gone. Only darkness stretched in every direction, endless, suffocating, swallowing the world beyond the yard. He turned back. The house stood behind him, glowing faintly from within. Every window burned with a pale white light, silhouettes moving inside, dozens of them. "Emily," he shouted. Her voice came from the doorway. "Don't fight it, Ryan. It's easier when you stop." He took a step back toward her, tears streaking his face. "Please, come with me." She smiled again, a sad, broken smile. "I already tried." The front door slammed up, the ground beneath him trembled. The oak tree shuddered violently, roots cracking through the earth. From beneath the soil came a deep rumble, like the house itself was waking up. Ryan fell to his knees. His flashlight flickered out. He looked up. The house seemed taller now, its windows like eyes, the front door a gaping mouth. A low voice, deeper than thunder, rolled through the air. "Welcome home." The ground split open. Ryan screamed as darkness swallowed him whole. Then silence. The next morning, Willow Lane was quiet again. The sun rose over perfect lawns and empty driveways. Birds sang, and the house at the end of the street stood still, white paint gleaming in the soft light. A "for sale" sign leaned in the yard, fresh and clean, as if it had just been placed there. Hours later, a silver SUV pulled up. A young couple stepped out, nervous smiles, holding hands. "It's beautiful," the woman said. "Just what we were looking for." The realtor, a gray-haired man with kind eyes, nodded politely. "Old place. Been on the market a long time, but it's solid." "They say every house has a story," the husband laughed. "We'll make it a happy one." As the realtor opened the front door, a gust of cold air rushed out. The woman shivered, looking up at the old oak tree. For just a second, she thought she saw someone in the upstairs window. A man and a woman, standing side by side, watching, but when she blinked, they were gone. The couple stepped inside. The door closed behind them, and from deep within the walls, faint and far away, the house exhaled.
Please like and subscribe channel Fear Frequency for more horror stories. Thank you.